Good morning. This is Jason Dean coming live at you again. It is it's Friday, 9:58. Supposed to rain later today. I guess like later tonight, but weather has been pretty kick-ass this week. Uh, Last night was the first. It was actually super hot yesterday. It was like 83 or 84 yesterday here in Maine. First time. I actually slept last night with a fan going at a low level, so it was great. I love the heat. I love the hot weather, so it was nice. But it's a little taste of things to come, maybe. But we live here in Midcoast, Maine, and I guess it's kind of an odd trade-off. But I love being so close to the ocean. Like the ocean is, you know, I can be at the ocean in 3 minutes. Can almost see the ocean from my house, and the whole area is a coastal town. I live right on Route One, which kind of, is central, and you can go to all of the surrounding towns pretty easily from here. Belfast, Camden, Rockport, Rockland. So, but because obviously we are on the coast, like right on the ocean, the weather is kind of all over the fucking place. But it's when it's nice, it's pretty breathtaking. I've said it many times to people, just in conversations. But I think like during the summer season, spring season, especially the summertime, it it truly is the most beautiful place to live and to be, to just be at. Winters are really nice up here too. I love the balance of, well, we got the mountains, which is really nice. Like there's a lot of mountainous areas around here, and then we have the ocean. Obviously, is the biggest drawer, and then we have tons of wilderness, tons of forests and stuff. So, and it's a cool balance because there's towns and there's stores and there's like civilization that's not too far away. So I don't know. It's a cool balance of like being totally isolated, but then if you want to do your shopping or socialize and have like things to do with like in restaurants and music venues, we totally have all of that here. So it's a cool balance of all those things. But anyway, I just uploaded some new shows this morning, and today's show I'm really really excited about. This has been a movie I've been actually wanting to see for a long time, and I finally saw it last night. So anyway, I just uploaded a new show on another western. I've been It's been an ongoing series of all these western movies that I got. I got this big kind of box set about 2 months ago. It has 20 westerns in it, and I've been slowly working my way through it, and it's been awesome. Every movie has been killer. I just uploaded another review or another show on a movie called Chino from 1973, starring the iconic Charles Bronson, one of my favorite action stars of all time. Really awesome movie. I'd never seen it before, so I just uploaded that. So if you get a chance, please check that out. And then I just uploaded another video on something I just happened. I saw it yesterday. I was in the midst of, usually every morning I work on these videos, and I was up in the morning recording a video or uploading a video for the channel, and I came across this new trailer for the new Alien Earth TV show that FX is putting out. And I just have so many feelings and emotions around the Alien franchise and just kind of the utter disappointment of it. And my I have very strong opinions about things, and that's fine. And I'm the first to admit my taste is probably up my ass, but that's okay. So I have pretty strong opinions when it comes to films. I mean, I do this thing when I'm talking about movies where I try to be conscious of, and where I try not to take things. I I I guess generally in life I try not to take things too seriously because you have to be able to adjust to things. You want to grow and you want to have an open mind. And I sometimes think when you take things too seriously, it's it's hard to kind of to move in those directions and to kind of navigate. But there, we're all human, and I feel like there's a lot of things I'm really extremely passionate about. And for me, when I'm talking about movies and watching movies, I try not to take things too seriously. But it's a balance for me because not only first and foremost, movies are just a big, you know, source of entertainment. Probably the biggest source of entertainment for me. But then also, where it starts getting more serious for me is, for me, it's very the films, directors that I love, genres of films that I love. It's really inspirational, and it keeps me like motivated and focused on things that I'm working on. And it inspires me, and for me, it's like I like to try to work hard on a lot of projects that I'm doing. Mainly music stuff, and especially with my quantum stuff. But I'm really hard. It's really hard for me to kind of maintain focus and to try to. I can be kind of lazy sometimes. So a lot of these things really inspire me from films, like to try to like keep me going, keep me motivated. Kind of filling that well. So, and then just personally, like a big inspiration. I look at filmmakers like Stanley Kubrick as not only being, my favorite director and everything, but he's kind of like one of my personal heroes. And when it comes to my band Quantum, a lot of these movies have such a huge inspiration for me that I take it I take that part of it really really seriously. Like it's serious business to me. So I'm very passionate about certain things, but I try to have that balance of like, well, it's just a fucking movie. So you can't get your you can't get your you can't get too butthurt or too worked up over it because it's a movie. But there's certain things out there that for me are just a little more serious. I mean, just for instance, how much the Alien universe, especially realistically, the only Alien movies that are tremendous, are that I feel are uh, my favorite films is the first and the second one, Ridley Scott's the 79, and then the James Cameron follow up, Aliens. Everything else in the Alien franchise, I think, could be just set on fire and stabbed to death and wrapped in dirty toilet paper and then get flushed down the toilet. And just an example, like that movie, those movies, especially Alien, such a huge inspiration for me with my band Quantum. I have a song that's named after that movie called the Nostromo, which is the ship in the movie. So I actually have a tune in the band Quantum that is called Nostromo, and it's totally, the whole thing is totally inspired by that movie and the first two films. So it runs pretty deep for me. So anyway, I uploaded a show this morning about the announcement. I saw the trailer for the new TV show, and I'm not very excited. So check that out. You can see me bitch for about 40 minutes about the Alien franchise for what it's worth. So it's kind of funny. And for what it's worth, just a quick plug. We have quite a few quantum shows coming up, which I'm really excited. Next week we will be doing a big electronic music showcase at Hot Hill Tavern on Friday coming up, and then we're going to be doing a show at Opera House Video a little bit after that. And then it's Pride Festival, Pride Month, so we're going to be doing a Pride performance at the Pride Festival in Rockland coming up. And then we're also going to be doing a big private party in on Owlsboro, which will be really exciting. So we got a lot of things coming up. So yeah, and today's show is on a movie that I kind of got a weird long history with, and I finally fucking saw this movie last night. This movie was really hard to track down. I tried before, but I realized I couldn't find the movie online. Couldn't find it anywhere in at Opera House Video where I go, which is the local video shop, the only video shop in the state. Couldn't find it there. They didn't have it there, and I couldn't find it. Didn't see it in any of the shops that I go to, like Bull Moose or what have you. Couldn't find it online. So about it was probably about 3 years ago now, which is crazy. I was at that time I was playing gigs, and I think I was doing gigs and some other projects, some recording. I was down in Rockland, Maine a lot, down and then I was down in Thomaston a lot. And I haven't. My girlfriend lives in Rockland, so I'm down there for that. But other than that, I don't really go down to Rockland as much as I used to, for various reasons or whatever. But during that time, about 3 or 4 years ago, I was going down to Rockland a lot, and I started hanging out at this place, this bar in Thomaston called the Block, which is still there. And one of my best friends, Mike, who plays bass, lives like pretty much across the street from there. And we met there a few times for beers and stuff. And I went there a couple times with him, and then I went there once or twice with a couple of friends for beers and some food and stuff. And so the place is really cool. Like, I haven't been there in a long time for whatever reason. I'm not sure why, but I should go back because it is a really cool spot. But I was going there. It's a little, it's kind of a little mini hipster bar, but really cool little spot. Cool drinks and good food, and it's got a cool aesthetic. But anyway, I went there one time about 3 or 4 years ago, and I went with met my buddy Mike, who plays bass in Quantum, and we went there for some drinks. And there was a bartender there that I can't remember his name, and his name totally escapes me. I wish I could remember his name because this guy was super cool. And we were sitting at the bar and we were just chit chatting, and Mike knew the bartender, knew the guy from somewhere, and we were just chit chatting, and then suddenly we started talking about movies, and realized that this guy was totally into movies, especially horror movies, and he was really into movies. So we, kind of hit it off, and we geeked out for quite a while talking about movies. And he was saying how, you know, he kind of was the manager. I don't think he works there anymore, unfortunately, but he was kind of the manager of the Block at the time. And what he was doing was he was on certain days of the week when he was there, he would show movies on the TV there. And he said, yeah, like last week we showed Twin Peaks and we showed like Eraserhead and a few other movies. I was like, that's awesome. And we were chit chatting about movies, and it was really cool. And he was a super cool guy. And then, like, I think it was maybe a few weeks after that, I went back there for drinks, and we started talking about more and more movies. And so he, when we were talking about movies that we both love, and I remember him recommending a movie as far as newer horror films. This movie called Ritual from 2017, which is a British horror film. And I remember him telling me about this movie. And again, this was like probably 2 or 3 years ago, at least. And he said that he really loved this movie. He thought it was, one of the better and one of the best kind of more modern day horror films. He said it was, like a folk horror film. And he said it's just really great. And he was really good about not telling me more or less what it's about. But he said it was really awesome. And this guy had really good taste in movies. We were talking about Robert Eggers, The Witch, and then he was into like even a lot of like exploitation movies. Like we were talking about slasher movies. He really loved, which is my all-time favorite slasher movie, Maniac, Bill Luswig's. And when you find somebody who says that, you're like, yep, this dude has it going on. So we just totally hit it off. And he told me about this movie, Ritual, from 2017. I never heard of this movie. And I think like a couple weeks after that conversation, I looked it up. I tried to find it. I asked around. I went to Opera House Video. I looked for it at Bull Moose, various places, and came up with zero. Nothing. Couldn't find anything about it. I even looked it up online. I couldn't really find anything online, and I hate watching movies online usually. I've done that. There's been a few cases of where, and it's usually an act of pure desperation. Usually it's because if it's a movie that I cannot find anywhere, it's really hard to find, and I keep hearing about it, and then I'm like, okay, fuck it, I'm just gonna see it, and find it somewhere online and watch it. There's been some examples with it. Like the biggest one for me was this movie that I came across and heard that it was one of the scariest movies ever made, and it was called Lake Mungo. And I this movie was super obscure. Couldn't find it anywhere. And finally, I was like, I broke down. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to find it online. Found it online. This Australian horror film, and I was enamored with this movie. That movie's a masterpiece. It's one of the scariest movies ever made. It's one of my favorite horror films. And I watched it online, and then a couple weeks after that, I got it, and now I own it on Blu-ray. And then there was another movie that I heard a lot about, and I thought it was really great, but it was super hard to find, called The Hollow Man. I think that's what it was called. Really cool movie, but super hard to find. So there's been examples of that. And then, but at that time, a couple of years ago, I could not find Ritual on online or any physical media versions of it, nothing. So I was like, okay, it came up empty. So I was frustrated, and then that was that. And then I, forgot about it. So, so just the other day, actually, I think it was yesterday. Yeah, it was actually yesterday. I was talking to a friend, Gabe, who I've known for a long time. Super cool dude. I'm kind of in this band with him now, and I've known him for a long time, but it's probably the last year or two I got to know him more. And he's really into horror films, which I didn't know, and it's been awesome. So we've been, he's liked my channel quite a bit, and we've talked a lot about movies, and it's really cool. And he's got really great taste in films. So we were chatting yesterday about something on Facebook, and he was saying on how he's like in the midst of reading this book called Ritual, and he said that he was like almost done with this book. I guess he had read it before, and he said it's a great, really great story, really great book, but he felt it was one of those rare exceptions of where there was a film version of The Ritual that came out, and he said he feels the movie's actually better than the book. And I was like, oh wait, the Ritual, where do I know that from? And I was like, wait, I don't know what that is. And it started, kind of jarring my memory a little bit. And then so I asked him, like, oh, what is that, The Ritual? And he's like, and then he said that for him, it's one of his top 10 horror movies of all time. He said it's just incredible. And he's like, he was really surprised that I had not seen it. And I was like, no, I haven't seen it. And then at that point, I realized this was that movie the guy at the bar at the block had told me about 3 or 4 years ago. And then I tried to find it. Couldn't find it anywhere. Online, nowhere. And so I was like, oh shit, that's that same movie, The Ritual. So he's like, I don't know what you're doing tonight or what you're doing now, but you should do yourself a favor and you should see this movie immediately. So after that, I went on this mission to look for it again online. And I spent about an hour or so trying to find the movie. And I came across this movie called The Ritual from 2000, I don't know, 2019. At the time, I wasn't sure. When he told me about The Ritual, I wasn't sure of the time or of the year that it came out. And so I came across this movie called The Ritual, and I was like, oh, this is it, I think. So then I took a picture of it and I sent it to Gabe, and I was like, oh, is this the movie? And he got back to me. He's like, no, that's not. That's a totally different movie. That's not it. So then he sent me the poster of the movie, and I was like, oh, okay. This is from 2017, and I remember seeing the poster, and I remember I started remembering more about this movie. So suddenly I was like, oh, okay, sweet. So then I spent another 20 minutes trying to find it. So now I had the right, correct information, and I found it. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah. And then I said, then I got back to him after I finally found the movie, and I was like, yes, I think I got it. I'm excited, and I'm going to watch it tonight. And thanks for the recommendation. And then he said that in the conversation that we were having, he said that he realized his wife had not seen the movie either. So he was going to watch it with his wife that night, last night. And so he was super excited. And then I realized, okay, I actually found it. Took me a while to find it online. So, and I was like, okay, I got it. So then I was excited, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch this movie. And then I typically watch movies at the end of my day. Yesterday was a pretty busy day, so I my day ended around 9:15, and I was super excited. I got my cup of tea and sat down, and I had to watch the movie on my stupid laptop with my headphones, but the quality was pretty good. But it was a wicked pain in the ass because there were commercials and it kept buffing. It was kind of a fucking chaotic way to actually watch this movie because the connection was wonky. My connection here in Northport's kind of wonky anyway, so it kept stopping and buffing, especially towards the end of the movie. But and then there were commercials, so it was just like. But I really liked what I was seeing, and I was into it. So I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna force my way through it." And I finally ended up watching the entire movie. It took a while with the commercials and all of this shit. And in the midst of it, it kept pausing, and so I basically shut down my computer and rebooted it, and then it played a lot better, and then it was for the most part clear sailing. And I finally got a chance to see this movie after like 3 years, which is so ridiculous. So ridiculous. And as a quick side note, before I forget, I was, it happened just about 15 or 20 minutes ago. But a while back last year, I uploaded a video on one of my favorite noise electronic artists called Wopstan. He's a really amazing artist from Montreal. He's like a noise artist. I he's probably my favorite artist in that genre, and I do really love that genre a lot. I've been listening to a lot of that kind of music lately, a lot. But last year I uploaded a video on it, and he's really prolific. He's got a shit ton of records out, and super underground stuff. But he's very very well known in his genre, and he messaged me just a little bit ago and left a really nice comment on the video. So I was like, that's fucking awesome. Like, you just never know who's listening. So anyway, back to The Ritual. I'm happy to say that this movie was kind of fucking awesome. It was really good. I'm still thinking about this movie a lot. I watched it last night. I finished it at about 11:30ish or so last night, Thursday night, and I'm happy to say that it was worth all of the aggravation sitting through the movie with the video buffing and then the stupid ass commercials. That's the thing now with streaming. I was watching a movie over at my girlfriend's house last week, and now there's commercials now on with a lot of these movies, and I'm like, this is a weird full circle thing. It's terrible. I don't know how people stream movies, but anyway, I'm finally got through it, and it was a wicked pain in the ass. But the movie was so good. I was into it that I was like, no, I'm gonna watch it. Fuck it. And immediately after I finished watching it was, I need to definitely buy this movie on Blu-ray and watch it uninterrupted, really good quality, no distractions, and all the good stuff that entails. And I'm happy to say that this movie was kick ass. I'm still thinking about it. There's actually a lot more to this movie to unpack than I thought. And I think it's got layers. I think this movie has a little bit of a. Sometimes I refer to it as like I don't know, like an onion effect where there, you peel it back and there's like all these layers, and it definitely has that. And and often when I do my shows here on the channel, whenever I'm whenever I'm doing a show for this channel, I'm in the habit of always watching the movie and then the following, like I'll watch them if I decide that okay, I'm going to watch this movie or I want to review this movie for Film Fanatic. I always set out, and I always do it, as I will watch it, and then the next day, the next morning, like I'm doing now, I'll hopefully wake up with a pretty fresh perspective. And it can be for a movie I've seen before or a movie I haven't seen. In this case, it's been a lot of movies lately that I haven't seen before. And the next day after I've seen it, I'll do the review. And I usually do that because it's a obviously it's a big refresher. And when it comes to new movies, with me, your reaction can be, and just in general with people, but for me, your reaction can be really different with a film, like say in the moment, or the day after, or the days after, or even the weeks after. Sometimes you watch a movie and you're like, I I can't get all the way through it. I have this thing of if I watch a movie, a new movie, and I really am struggling to get through it, I usually will not finish it at about. I will usually let the movie go. If it's a movie that I can't really get into for all kinds of reasons or for various reasons, I will usually let the movie go for about 40 minutes. And then if it's still like dead in the water for me, I will take it out and put something else in. I saw an interview a long time ago with Quentin Tarantino where he was saying that that's what he does too, where he'll watch a movie, and if he says he gets to the 40 minute, 45-minute mark, if the movie's not, you know, doing it for him, he'll move on to the next one. That's usually what I do. So, but again, the experience is always different. Like sometimes I will watch a movie and I'm like, okay, yeah, that was good, or I thought that was good, or that was fun. And then the next day, you're kind of like you come to this realization that you're not like thinking about the movie at all, and you just kind of forget everything that you saw, and then it just diminishes more and more, and then you're not even thinking about it, and it's like as if you never saw it, and it's kind of this hollow experience, and it's not really good. And then sometimes you see a movie, for me that happens too, where I'll see a movie and I'm watching it and I'm like, yep, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. And then the next day I'll wake up and I'm like thinking about it more and more and more, and then I start getting this feeling of like I really want to see that again. And usually 9 times out of 10, that's a pretty good indication that the movie really spoke to me. So it's an interesting kind of experience that way. And then other times too, where it will happen where I will watch a movie that, for instance, that I saw, I was really excited at the time to see it, and I saw it, 3 or 4 times, maybe when it came out, and then a long period of time goes by and I haven't seen it, and then I watch the movie again now, or in a more recent time, and suddenly I'm like, oh, this movie is just like not really good. It's dated, but all in not in any cool ways, and it's just like it doesn't hold up. It doesn't age like fine wine. That happened with me with The Force Awakens, Star Wars, big time. I don't like that movie at all. At the time, I liked that movie quite a bit, and now it's just like I see right through it. I can't even get into it now. It's weird. Another movie that happened to me was Falling Down with Michael Douglas. Like I used to love that movie growing up, and now it's like it's wicked dated, and it's just I don't know. It's not a very good movie, I don't think. But anyway, when I watched Ritual, it I was like, "Yep, this is kind of a cool movie." It's extremely atmospheric. I don't want to give away too much about this movie. It's a short movie. It's an hour and a half. The movie took longer for me to get through because of these other glitches, these glitches that I was having with my stupid computer and my stupid connection. So it took me longer, but the movie is pretty short. It's only an hour and a half, and the atmosphere of this film is incredible. The cinematography is absolutely breathtaking, gorgeous. The music is fucking awesome, and it's one of those movies too. Like it's got, I love the characters. I love the main. It's essentially this group of guys that go on this big trip, and they kind of get lost in the mountains and eventually in this forest. And the cinematography is breathtaking. It's the music is really really good, like really really good. It's one of the better film scores I've heard in a while, but it's got such great atmosphere. It's a British horror film. It has this kind of gritty kind of British vibe to it. It made me think of movies like The Kill List, those kinds of things. Kill List is a little bit more of a down and dirty, nasty film. Um, but it's got that vibe. Another British film that I saw last year, which I thought was just amazing, is Oddity, another British horror film. So lately, there's been some great ones. This one came out in 2017, so quite a few years ago now, but it was great, and it was one of those movies that I was immediately drawn into it because like the opening sequence of this film, it opens up with these characters, these guys that are all, it's like four or five guys, and they're all like best friends, and they're at this pub, and it's just them talking at this bar over some beers, and they're talking about planning this trip. And it's great. The writing is really great. The script writing is great. I immediately cared about all of the characters that were in this story. I was interested to see right away. I was interested to see where they were going to go, where the story was going to go. It just automatically popped with a lot of life and really great writing, really great. Everybody had charisma, and it was great. And it goes on this very dark journey, and it's definitely a folk horror film, like 100%. The atmosphere is really, really awesome. And the thing that's really, really cool about this movie, again, which I think is why it's resonating with me, is this movie was a little bit deeper than I thought. Like it has a lot of, and again, I don't want to give away the. I'll stop at just saying that this movie is definitely a folk horror film. If you like movies, horror films that have like an occult or like folk horror vibe, this is a movie for you. Like, folk horror is, again, there's so many subgenres in the world of horror, but folk horror movies, probably the greatest one ever, or the greatest one ever is the original Wicker Man, Christopher Lee, masterpiece. Love that movie to death. And there's a whole bunch of other films kind of in that vein. Eyes of Fire, which is a movie about this witch, which is just incredible. Even Robert Eggers' The Witch, I would consider that to be a folk horror film in a lot of ways. And then The Kill List, which is another British horror film, which is a fucking masterpiece. There's some really great ones. And then Ari Aster's Midsummer, fucking amazing movie. And now I would add Ritual to it. It's really, really good. It's definitely a folk horror movie. But the thing that I took away from it, and what I think is why it's still resonating with me, is this movie was a little bit deeper than I thought. It's got a lot of metaphor. It's got a lot of symbolism in this movie that I didn't really see coming. And it's, without giving giving anything away, it's related to this really. There's all this symbolism and allegory and metaphor to this particular situation that happens in the movie where uh, a character dies, and it really kind of ruins everyone's life. And it's about these guys trying to come to terms with this really, the worst case scenario thing actually happening. And so there's all this metaphor about that in this movie, which I didn't really see coming. And there's a lot of layers to it. And I'm like, okay, cool. I didn't see that coming. And then especially the third and fourth act, there's a lot of symbolism, but it's done in a really cool way, it felt really. Uh, the movie feels like a real original experience. It's got its own thing. Definitely influenced by a lot of the classic folk horror films from the '70s and '80s, but it's got its own thing, and I think the way it uses symbolism and metaphor, um, it's and even mythology, big time. There's a lot of mythology in this film in the folk horror world that is a massive part of this movie, and the way it's handled is really great. Like, I was really surprised. Came out in 2017. Finally got a chance to see this movie. It was directed by David Bruckner. Very cool, very cool. Direction job is, I guess, the best way to say it. Like, he really did a pretty fantastic job with putting this whole story together. He did other films called The Night House, which was a cool movie, and it is a movie I do want to see again. I thought it was pretty good. Um, I guess he did the Hellraiser. Wow, I didn't realize that. He did the Hellraiser remake that came out a couple of years ago on Hulu. Huh. Which was actually pretty good. I will have to check that out. He did one of the VHS episodes, the horror kind of anthology show. Um, Signal is another film he did, which I don't know about. Yeah, I want to check out more of his films. But yeah, I highly recommend it. And it's called Ritual from 2017. So thanks again to Gabe for the awesome recommendation and also helping out, with jarring my memory again. But this movie was fantastic. So thanks again, and we will see you next time. Peace.